Hey everyone, it's Types, and today we're going to be looking at the new decks from Paradox Rift and the meta as a whole from the new set. As it's, I think, kind of interesting. At some point, I'm probably going to do a tier list of the decks, but maybe not. I might just look at them, and I'm certainly going to tell you my thoughts on them. But yeah, it looks like there are over 50 decks played. There've only been 14 tournaments. That's not too bad. Over 1,000 players, which is pretty good. And like 2,000 matches. That's decently good. It seems like a low matched player ratio, is it? Maybe it's not. I guess people just like quit a lot. Um, I don't know. Anyway, so we see first of all, Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon is apparently the hot new deck from this. Oh, okay. Roaring Moon and Golden are the two top decks, and coincidentally, they are the two Battle Pass decks. The Roaring Moon is the free Battle Pass deck, and the Golden is like the premium Battle Pass, which isn't really like that hard to get. But anyway, so Roaring Moon, it could be just because it's cheap. That's why it's the most played. Although like most of the other decks, like what's the next like completely new deck? Be I guess Iron Valiant. I mean that deck's not very good. Anyway, but so in my opinion, Roaring Moon isn't that good of a deck. It's not like an awful deck. Pretty much what it does here. I'll take a look at the top deck here. And what it does is it attacks with Roaring Moon, does like big damage. But the issue is it's a very linear deck, meaning it's very vulnerable to any type of counter at all. Meaning that it is not going to be well. It, in my opinion, won't be a like deck with a lot of longevity. The meta is pretty diverse, as you can. Well, yeah. I mean, aside from Roaring Moon, I don't know why Roaring Moon's seen so much play. It's like absurd how much play. It's literally 20% of the meta. But aside from that, the meta is pretty diverse. And Roaring Moon is of course counterable by like the same things that counter Charizard, so you can play like Grass Pokemon. Overall, it's not great in my opinion, because it's so vulnerable. That being said, it is fast and consistent and just like really strong. And that's a theme we'll see with a lot of these decks. A lot of them are just really powerful heavy hitters, which is kind of more common at the beginning of a format. Decks are linear but really strong, and then they'll be pushed out by decks that like are harder to play. And Moon Moon is certainly not a very hard deck to play. You certainly can make mistakes. I've made mistakes playing it. I haven't played it too much either, but it's very very powerful. And then you also play this list places the Morpeko, which like it has free retreat essentially, and you can actually attach with Radiant Attack of the Radiant Queen, which is kind of weird. But yeah, it's like Turbo Pokestop, Earthen Vessel, Stars Vitality. We see Cross Switcher, Battle VIP Pass. Pretty straightforward, but still. And then anything else cool going on with these other lists? That's literally okay. We do see Galarian Moltres. Did this list play Galarian Moltres? No. Most do. I think it's probably a good inclusion. And then the tool. The tool is arguably very important because it means that you're not just going to die to everything. Going down to 30 is bad. So yeah, Roaring Moon, the big issue is obviously when you do your first attack, you go down to super low HP, or even with the second attack. 230 HP is good, but it could definitely be better. So I think that, Roaring Moon's pretty linear. Um, but obviously it does have two attacks, both of which are decent, or both of which are quite good, in fact. But you need to keep in mind that like if your opponent is able to carry you the single prizer, like this deck doesn't beat single prizes, which is the issue. I think a lot of people are scared to play single prizes because of Iron Hands, but even with that, there are certainly single prizes that can beat Iron Hands. So we'll get to that in a second, though. So nothing too crazy on with this list. This list runs Brute Bonnet, the Among Us Pokemon, which like poisons. I personally don't think it's very useful. It's like a one of inclusion kind of, but it just like adds a little extra damage. It's all right. A lot of people are playing it. Anyway, let's look at Chien-Pao EX. Chien-Pao EX next, though. Chien-Pao. Most lists are playing the new the Iron Hands, which takes extra prize. With AMP very much, that's not the right thing. For Lightning Colorless, 120, and then if you take a prize, or if you take a KO, you take an extra prize. Obviously, this will generally be on single prizers, essentially always. You can KO Illuminions and like Squawkvillies for 3 prizes, but honestly, that's not even that useful. The main idea with this deck is you take two prizes every single turn. Um, this deck's win rate isn't like super high, but obviously win rate we have like a lower sample size, but it is decently meaningful still. But it's certainly like a decently low win rate. The win rates are like kind of weird all across the board, to be honest. But yeah, we see so Iron Hands, which is important. The way this deck is like laid out is very strange. Why like the barrels in the middle of the back caliber line, but whatever. And so we usually counter catcher. We don't see boss. That's kind of interesting. I imagine some of the list, like the second place list here, probably plays. I mean, no, it looks like it's actually it's just the same. This is a very similar list. No different ways of playing it, but they don't play a ton of Gust right now. And most don't play Canceling Cologne, but some still do play Canceling Cologne. This list is crossover canceling Cologne, and you have Radiant Ninja, so you can take extra prize with that. You can take extra prize with Iron Hands, but you're still relying on that powerful Radiant Ninja, and we don't see any V-Star powers either, which is kind of interesting. That being said, the deck's still kind of what it was before, and it was a top deck before, and it has a number of additions. You have Iron Hands, which is a decent addition. You have Counter Catcher, which is another very decent addition, and then Earthen Vessel, which is just insane in the deck as it has like perfect synergy with everything going on in the deck, so it's super good. Arguably a third copy could be nice, but it's up to you. I always find Pokestuff sketchy in this deck as well. I personally don't like it. Like you're never ever gonna find your Iono as well. I mean you can, I guess, but it's very hard to do. Oh, no stage ones as well. So that's not crazy, but that means this deck will be very vulnerable to item lock. So a deck like Venomoth would be pretty decent right now. And next we have Giratina Lost Zone. I don't know if there's anything crazy going on with these decks. Let's see. This list plays Countercatcher. Countercatcher is a nice addition as you are a deck that plays other supporters and maybe down, especially in the early game. So I think Countercatcher is a decent inclusion. But again, nothing crazy with this list. More Countercatchers. This list looks like a very similar. This one runs a Leafeon V, which is an interesting inclusion, allowing you to attack with Giratina V-Star faster, which is kind of cool. And it plays like Thornton, but again, nothing like too crazy. No counter catchers in this list. I just closed an extra tab. My mouse is being funky. Yeah, this list again with another counter catcher. And we see Path as well, but not like super high counts of Path. No, like 4 Path lists, I don't think. So yeah, pretty normal stuff though. Counter catcher is still an insane card. We have the gold. Oh, and Giratina Lost Zone's one of the best decks right now as well. It has a high win rate and a very solid across the board matchup spread, I think. I don't know, and maybe not. Again, there haven't been a ton of games played, but yeah, it's a very good deck, obviously. And then we have Goldengo. Goldengo. Let's see. Let's take a look at like 5 lists here. Um, so we see Scizor. This one just plays a 1/1 Scizor. We do see 3 Worker as well. 3 Worker seems like a really high count. Like Worker is not a good card, and it's like the only draw supporter. But the deck like hits really hard, like really, really hard. It pretty much just one-shots everything. It's kind of like Chimpao, honestly. You have Scizor for a bit of an actually better Chimpao matchup. Scizor is one of those single prizes that just is really bad for Chimpao. They can't really do anything about Scizor at all. One of it doesn't necessarily mean you auto in the matchup, but it puts you in a very good position in that matchup. Goldengo hits Chimpao for weakness anyway. And then we see like Superior Energy Retrieval, Earthen Vessel, Regular Energy Retrieval to just get lots of energy. We do see TM Evolution as well. So if you go second, you are able to TM Evolution, get some more stuff evolved. Oh, we don't see any engine. Yeah, I feel like this deck's kind of sketchy. Like it's super linear. With like no versatility, which is kind of sketchy. We do see a Terra scenario, I suppose, for like healing, which can be nice as well. You can have healing in this deck, which is just a great inclusion. But yeah, it's a decent deck, certainly. But again, a very linear deck, which means that soon it will likely be not necessarily pushed out of the meta, but not like as good in the meta, which is again what we see at beginning of formats. But yeah, then we see what else we got here. This is a lot of stuff. This is kind of weird. We see like Arvin and Pidgeot V. We see 2 Anos. two workers, two pause, two clear, and a counter catcher. Like this is kind of a weird list. It's not that crazy. We still see like the recovery and stuff. Um, we just see more stuff going on here. We even see psychic energies. Oh yeah, with fog crystal. Okay, so we do see fog crystal. So I search gimme ghouls and then psychics as well. Also, what's our split of gimme ghouls? I'm not sure. But yeah, and so nothing too crazy here. Um, it's a little like weird, but it's in a very similar idea. This is I think the same 60. This isn't the same, is it? I know it's very similar to the other 60 we saw, so nothing new there. This one plays two Scissor. This is a more straightforward build, which I guess I like more. Pokestop is kind of sketchy. It's not like bad, but I always find like one of the supports in Pokestop decks without Pal Pad like not good. And four Worker seems kind of bad. Like Worker isn't a good card. Like Avery, I've always said Avery isn't a good card, which it has some value, but I don't think it's a very good card. I think Worker is like a much worse card than Avery. Certainly Path is bad for you, but I don't think you need four workers and four stadiums. Anyways, and then we see this list with we see Bombardier coming in here. Oh, and Letter of Encouragement as well, which I guess is good. The Bombardier, you can use this first turn going first, and then search deck for up to three basics and put them onto your bench. It's a very solid setup-based attack. We do see Team Evolution as well. Nothing too crazy going on with those Golden Dingos, but Scissor is important in certain matchups. Zard next is oh, not a great win rate either. But let's see. I don't know if there's anything new going on with his lists. This one does run Jirachi, which is okay, I guess. I personally don't think it's super necessary, but yeah, it's fine. Oh, I almost thought it ran Pidgeot EX without Pidgey, which would have been like insane and bad. But no, nothing too crazy going on here. We do see you see any new card? I mean, you see Jirachi. We actually see Lost City as the stadium of choice, which is a little surprising. I'm not exactly sure what that's in there for, but obviously it's in there for. I mean, it's a decent stadium overall for countering a number of decks. Although I'd probably play Artisan instead because the consistency seems kind of iffy, but it's like a very Arvin heavy deck, which is okay. With Arvin decks, you can kind of struggle to draw, but we do see Entei as an attacker here, um, which is a very decent one, just a very non-committal attacker. I can see Magma Base on this list as well. Anyway, again, nothing too crazy. We do see like the high counts of Arvin, which just seemed crazy. I mean, I don't think high counts of Arvin is bad. I said Arvin was very good in my cards you should pick up, but I think that Arvin, you want the TMs. That's like why I said it was good because it plays the new tools, which these lists don't. This looks like very similar. No Jirachi, which I think is good. Again, similar. We see Tur's Scenario, which is really interesting, allowing you to reuse Charizard's ability and to heal and stuff. It's a good card, I guess. So that Lost City. Okay, there we go. This one's playing more normal teams. We see Artzone and Collapse. Not that Lost City isn't like a good thing. It's good sometimes, but yeah, Artzone and Collapsed are good stadiums. Obviously, we see Pidgey. We actually see a split of Pidgeys. This one person really loving their basic splits. And then we see. Honestly, I don't know why they're playing the 60 HP Charmander. The other list was playing that too. No, but only one of it. I don't know. I feel like the 70 HP Charmander is the way to go. Oh yeah, this list plays a bunch of splits of basics, which is kind of fun. But is it good? I don't know. We see Counter Catcher, obviously a good card as well. I feel like Counter Catcher is very good in this deck. We see Defiance and Vitality Band, which are both good. They fulfill similar purposes, but obviously not the same purpose. Overall, I think the deck's pretty cool. That list. And okay, this one, the first appearance of Toadstool. We also see Town Store with TM Evolution and Force Seal Stone and Defiance Band. Okay, yeah, I think Town Store is a decent inclusion here. We do see Jirachi. Oh, that seems. So obviously you have Toadstool, you have Manphy, you have Jirachi, you have Luminion. So that'll be four bench choices. Obviously, you're not looking to play all of them, but you could definitely play like 2 to 3. I have Mew. I feel like the bench space and then Barrel. Bench space seems super sketchy with this deck, but at least Barrel kind of sort of takes less bench space than the Pidgeot, depending on how the game goes. It takes less commitment, I guess. Okay, but Toadstool, we need to talk about this card. Slime Mold Colony. Cards in your opponent's discard pile can't be put into their hand by effects of your opponent's abilities or trainer cards. So this stops, notably trainers. People like the ability thing doesn't really matter too much, but we see this is very important against Goldengo and Chien-Pao, or it's like very good against Goldengo and Chien-Pao, because it stops them from putting back. Let's see. So it stops their superior energy retrievals and stuff like that. But then it also stops Pokestop, which is very nice. Stopping Pokestop is good. And overall Toadstool is very decent. And we're gonna actually look at Toadstool, the Toadstool deck itself as well, I think. But anyway, so Miraidon, I don't think there's much going on here. Could play Iron Hands, which is fine. Honestly, a super basic deck, super straightforward. Let's take a look at, let's see, these top 5. I'll take a look at this 5 and 3 list as well. That's just a Klawf list. So we see a lot of Klawf. We see a lot of Roaring Moon, which is for some reason in here as well. And then Skeletors. This Skeletors list is super cool. Skeletors boosts damage. It's like a super versatile and powerful card. Overall, I think the Skeletors list is cool. I might cover it, but obviously it's not a super highly played deck. But yeah, and then we need to talk about Klawf. Klawf is another very good card, a card that I didn't realize was as good as it was. We do see this list running Hisuian Electrode V as well, which is certainly decent. I mean, it hit 200 for free, and it hits weakness on some decent cards. But Klawf is very good. It does 190 if it's affected by a special condition, or 170 with a double turbo, which yeah, that's all you can play it with, which is decent. And then we see Ancient Boost Energy Capsule to poison and brute bonnet. We see Radiant Hisuian Sneasler to like buff essentially your damage. Overall, it's a very strong deck, and one that I think is gonna become just a very good deck. Surprisingly, it's one that I think caught me off guard, caught some other people. Like I knew it was a deck, but I didn't realize it was as good as it was. Not that it's like an insanely good deck, but it's decent, and definitely one you want to be on the lookout for. Next up, we got Guardy. I really don't think there's anything new going on with Guardy, although I don't know. Um, and that is so boring. We see Counter Catcher, but super boring list. Okay, so there's on Jirachi. I could see that being useful. Say, like Lost Zone is a super scary matchup. We do see the new TM as well. Actually, yeah, no, I think TM Evolution is like insane in this deck because evolving is super nice. Oh, and then we see Screamtail finally. Screamtail, no, an amazing Gust Pokemon. Or another, not Gust, Snipe Pokemon. It's just very solid. Then we see this one with 3 Screamtail, and then we see the Tool. Okay, so you can just hit super hard. This one leaning so much into the new cards. Earthen Vessel, also a great buff for the deck. TM Evolution as well, very good. And then we see here, again, TM Evolution, Counter Catcher in the list, Screamtail. So yeah, Guardy has a number of decent buffs. Nothing like super broken, but overall it's better. Colorless Lugia, now I think is just going to play one new card. I'll just cover this list. This isn't the list I wanted to cover. This doesn't play any new cards. I think is it this list? It is this list. So it runs the new Iron Hands, Earthen Vessel, and Earthen Vessel is super good for this deck because it lets you discard. Previously, you'd have a bit of an issue discarding, as you had like Ultra Ball, and I mean, you have a few other ways, but nothing amazing. So you just have Ultra Ball, but now you have Earthen Vessel, which is really nice to discard your Arc Caps. Yeah, overall a very straightforward deck, but you do have that Earthen Vessel, and that can allow you to attack with Luxray even if you're not down. You can only play Luxray if you're down, but then if you take a prize and you're back to even, you still can attack with Luxray, which is pretty cool, and I like that. This list runs Radiant Charizard and Iron Hands. I personally wouldn't do that, because obviously you can see stuff's getting kind of sketchy in terms of card counts, but whatever. This list, again, runs both. Wow, this is doing a lot here. It's kind of doing a lot, but it's also kind of not doing a lot. This is a weird list. I don't think it's that good in my opinion, but I'm not the best Iron Hands player. And then this one again with a split, again a little sketchy in my opinion. Next up we got Lost Zone. Anything crazy going on here? Obviously you've seen my list. This list runs Roaring Moon. Wow. Okay, I don't think Roaring Moon did this person win. They did not. So Roaring Moon I think is not good. I don't think it's good in Lost. I don't think it's garbage in Lost Zone though. I think you could run it. I know some people like it. it's like again, it just Roaring Moon is a linear card. Lost Zone is not a linear deck though. I think Roaring Moon is a decent inclusion in the deck. I think obviously Iron Valiant is better, but Iron Valiant's a bit weirder as well and doesn't necessarily cover that like high damage output that you're looking to hit sometimes. Um, Although it does hit harder without putting itself to 30, which might be very important. Obviously, Countercatcher as well is obviously a very important inclusion. Again, this list runs. Nothing interesting at all. I mean, it's not like that bad. It's like a normal Lost Zone list, I guess. But I don't know. I don't love the V's, but I get they have a place. Again, a very similar idea. We do see Countercatcher, though, a very good inclusion. This list with Canceling Cologne. Wow, okay. Canceling Cologne is not what I was expecting. We got some like pretty crazy stuff going on here. I mean, not that crazy, but pretty like not common stuff. We got super high counts of items, like Pokestop. It's fine, I suppose, but kind of sketchy, obviously. And then another pretty boring Lost Zone list there. Okay, so I think Lost Zone again is certain tons of room for improvement there. It's a deck that people have been kind of sitting on and not doing too much with for a little while, but it is still a very good deck, and with improvements, it'll be probably it's arguably the best deck, as it's always been. And then we see Stormax Stall. This one running a Spiritomb for I'm not sure what specifically the Spiritomb is for. Obviously, it's a good overall card. But yeah, anyway, so we got Spiritomb, but this is pretty normal. I think this is not the exact 60 I played, I covered, but it's similar. And obviously, Countercatcher is like the big new card. And also it means Erica's Invitation. It's like you can just slam it down if you miss. Nah, you can just like Countercatcher, so it's fine. This list also runs Cross Switcher, which I don't think you need, but you can do. So yeah, that's like normal, boring kind of. This list runs hammers. Someone's asking about hammers and catcher. Everyone Pokemon catcher. So this list runs both. We see Radiant Serene as well popping in. Nothing too crazy here. This list is running Luxray V as well. I think Luxray is not like that good. It's not a bad card, but I don't think it's. I don't know, it causes some issues. It does make the deck less linear, which is good. The deck is very linear right now, which means it's not super great, but yeah, I think that Luxray isn't the play, but I don't know. Then we see another Lost Zone box um, with Radiant Charizard. This one running up. Whoa, okay. I don't know. I was so caught off guard by this deck. It's not actually that weird. I was like surprised that it didn't run water, but obviously it doesn't run water. Jirachi's okay, I guess. Two Cram and one Sableye seems a little weird, but certainly you can do that if you want. And you have Radiant Charizard and Glen Moltres as finishers. Mew EX as well. It's kind of weird, but very decent. Some really interesting ideas going on this list, but nothing too crazy. Actually, in that list, I would say um, you could honestly put in Radiant Eternus instead of Radiant Charizard, but also you could put in something like Roaring Moon. That would be a nice inclusion. This list is a Cramorant focus. This is like a very straightforward list, but still a decent list. You actually Path, which is kind of weird with a number of abilities for multi prizes, but you can kind of like be choosy with when you use Path and stuff. This is like super straightforward. We see double turbos for the Charizard, which is kind of funny. I mean, you can actually attack with it. I was gonna say turn two. I don't know. I don't know about that. But it's just like instead of Mirage Gate, which is fine. Oh yeah, I guess you can Raihan attach Raihan. Or no, attach Raihan attach, yeah. So that's it's decent, pretty straightforward. You can see the devolution TM though, which is really interesting, allowing you to KO those like a big Pokemon essentially. Make them little, but then you KO them. This is similar. I think this is very similar to the list we saw before. And then this list is decently like this is a very plain list. We do see the TM Devolution and Countercatcher though, two good cards. Fusion Mew, and we'll look at regular Mew as well. Like not, I guess it's not regular Mew, but the other Mew build. So anything crazy going on here? And why are they playing Pokemon Catcher? I don't know, but they are. This is why I don't really like looking at Mew because it's weird. I don't like Mew. I don't think it's a. I think it's fine right now. It's obviously one of those decks that if you counter, you just beat. If you don't counter, you can definitely very easily lose to, which makes, in my opinion, a very boring deck. But whatever. Oh, we have not. How did this person go 0 and 2? What? Like that's just what even happened? See, this is don't ID kids. No. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, Limitless sometimes has issues. This one runs Terror Scenario. It runs Luxray as well. Which I guess is good. I've heard some people say Luxray is good, but I don't know. Then this list runs Roaring Moon in your Mew deck. What is this? Okay, this is crazy. They dropped, so clearly it wasn't that good. But and it clearly wasn't that fun either, because you wouldn't drop like what? This is a crazy deck. There's a lot going on here. I get. Oh, there's not that much going on. It's just like Roaring Moon, but instead of like Squawkabilly, you have like Genesect. It's kind of weird. It's kind of cool, I guess, but no, that is something. Anyway, so other decks, we need to take a look at Iron Valiant now. Iron Valiant is just something. Iron Valiant is honestly like bad. The win rates are like all bad. Iron Valiant is a very good Pokemon. It's insane, but not in the decks people are putting it. You can put it in like Guardian, you can put it in Lost, put it in like already good decks. And Urshifu is a good deck, but it's better than Inteleon. Anyway, so a lot of people are playing this deck. And it's kind of what you would expect. It's Iron Valiant. You do have Medicham, so you do have that donk potential. That being said, like I played a Vaporeon deck on my channel the other day, and pretty much this is like the same deck. It's more consistent, but it's like less poppy offy, if that makes sense. A very straightforward deck, which isn't the issue. Like Urshifu shouldn't be straightforward. It's not like the most straightforward deck in the game, but it's pretty straightforward as it's like spread. It's mostly spread, right? It's pretty much all spread. Um, it's decent, I guess. You don't necessarily need 4 Iron Valiants either, but it's a decent deck. It can do some like funny, silly things, but it's not super strong. Like you can donk your opponent, but if you don't, then you probably lose. Um, this list runs the waters. Oh yeah, you can Melanie. So I think this is decent. Melanie's like good, but again, you're just spreading and hoping. And this list is like the same idea. It's a very sketchy deck because it's Urshifu, but you can essentially only spread, which is a bit sketchy. Then we just have straight Iron Valiant. Let's see. So this one plays Jolteon, which is interesting. We in Medicham, like Jolteon's good, and then we see the donk aspect as well. So kind of cool. Pretty straightforward though. Oh yeah, I didn't mean to close both times. So yeah, we see it runs. It's Jolteon. It's just kind of Jolteon. It's pretty straightforward, but it's like Jolteon with Iron Valiant. This one's that. And again, we do see Vaporeon coming in this list as well, which is a very natural inclusion in the deck, and it's pretty decent. I think this deck's decent. Obviously not Mustard like I was playing it, which is probably a good thing. Mustard is kind of sketchy. But check that video out. It's a banger video, the Vaporeon Mustard Iron Valiant deck, but it's kind of sketchy. And then yeah, pretty normal, honestly normal stuff. It's like not a deck we've seen before, but it's still pretty normal. Yeah, okay. So it looks like Iron Valiant is just Iron Valiant Urshifu with Jolteon, which is fine. Then Iron Valiant Azadu, these decks are bad, but yeah, you accelerate to Iron Valiant. It's like a deck again that can pop off super hard, but that's it. This one plays Iron Jugulus. Iron Jugulus is a cool inclusion. I think could add some depth to the deck because it adds in an attacker, which is not 2 prizes, and just again has more depth. You're looking for that a bit more versatility in a deck like this, especially if your main point is something that doesn't even win against every deck. Because like against some UV Max, like you can't do anything because all their Pokemon have lots of HP. So yeah, I feel like Iron Valiant is a good card, but not in this deck. Time to look at some bangers now. Arceus is back. It plays Leafeon usually, which is fine. I don't know. I don't think there's anything too crazy. It's just Arceus. You can play straight Arceus. I mean, you can do okay. You can do all sorts of stuff. This person played it with I'll get back to this in a second. This is Duraludon, which is I guess just miscategorized. This is Kyurem. Excalibur, Kingdra, like yeah, you can do whatever you want. This is crazy. This seems super sketchy. But funny as well and kind of cool. You can raid Greninja. You can do so much stuff with this. So you can check that list out on Limitless. Reggie's, I might cover Reggie's soon, but it's the classic Reggie's, except you have Earthen Vessel, which is a nice addition. Encounter Catcher, which is cool too. Guess what? They're playing Big Bird, Big Sackboy. What? Iron Bundles here. Okay, that seems sketchy. Like I get why it's here, but that seems sketchy. But yeah, it's a very like fast. Well, it's not super fast, but it's supposed to be fast. It's a cool deck. Serena EX, then there's a bunch of ways of playing Serena. I personally think I thought Brute Bonnet was going to be good. It's not, but this list runs Vanillux. We'll get back to that one. That's also Vanillux. This one's Crobat, and that one we can't see. But this one is Serena. Then you put them down low, and then you assume Braviary, which is kind of funny. You can Panic Mask as well at a wall, which is kind of cool. As opposed to playing Vanillux, which is just Panic Mask, except it's like a Pokemon. It's kind of different. It's kind of weird as well. Um, but I guess it's better. It's so weird. This is like a control deck, but it hits like super hard. Like it's a control deck with a super high damage output that can kill all their Pokemon, which is really funny. I think the deck's decent. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's cool. And it's a deck I want to try out. Next, we got this list with Crobat, which allows you can like Crobat to take lots of prizes, but it's essentially like I don't think it's that good because you're carrying them and then like you're hitting them and then you're like carrying them a second turn, like the turn later. So you're taking 2 turns to take an extra prize, which isn't really that good. At best, it's just as good as it would be to just one shot. The Student Breviary here is interesting though, as it lets you like finish off all this stuff, but I don't know. Kind of sketchy. And then we got Zoroark. Zoroark plays some new cards, I think. Zoroark let's plays Milotic. I feel like you can never find room for that. Whatever. Scizor is super important though. And Counter Catcher. We got some interesting stuff going on here. We'll take a look at a few more Zoroark boxes. This one runs. This one's Flareon. That's cool, I guess. But it's not a new card, but it's still cool. Then this one runs. Oh, and they're running Jirachi as well. I guess Jirachi is so sketchy because you need so much bench space. Because you're benching Jirachi and Manaphy, and then you can only have 2 zeros and 2 rolls, so I don't know about that. But yeah, pretty normal stuff. Honestly, Zoroark. Entei is a deck. Honestly, it's just super basic. Oh, why? This is not basic. Never mind, it's not basic at all. Why? Okay, maybe I'll play this list. What I was thinking is, whoa, okay, yeah, so it looks like it's Iron Valiant. Iron Valiant Entei with Medicham. This is really cool, actually. You can like donk hard, which sounds weird, but you can hit, well, I guess Entei actually won't be hitting that hard if they only have one Pokemon, but it's hitting moderately hard. Then you can, it's hitting 120, which is not too bad. But then Medicham, and Medicham, you can Entei, you can just do, like, really big damage in early turns, which is kind of funny. I think this deck's really cool. I've not tried this. I'll try this. But yeah, that's cool. That could be a decent way to play. I'm Valiant. Then we see Single Strike Lugia, Bayonet. I don't think there's anything too crazy going on with Bayonet. Why is the highest player, so he didn't play any games. Yeah, nothing too crazy with Bayonet here. Let's take a look at Toadstool though. Toadstool is another deck. Garchomp. Garchomp is like super hard to find for some reason. Like this is only 2 people played it, but that's not like true. This people played it with like other decks, so it's like kind of scattered around, I think. But yeah, Garchomp just plays like Lucario. Nothing too crazy, unfortunately. But then Toadstool. We talked about the other Toadstool. This Toadstool is like insane against Roaring Moon. It's literally just an auto win against Roaring Moon, right? Let's see. Make sure no one lost to Roaring Moon with this deck. They did not. Because you're immune to their like insta-kill attack, and you also hit them for weakness. It's just so good against Roaring Moon. And the other Toadstool means you're very good against this deck isn't that good, but you should be good against Champao as well, and also Goldengo. They lost to Goldengo. I mean, it's kind of weird because they resist you, but overall it should be decent. But yeah, there's some like crazy stuff going on in this list. Not that crazy, but the deck is in a surprisingly good spot. So yeah, I think this is cool. Rigid Band also taking less damage is kind of cool. You just have Disruption as well there. And then I think that's about it. I feel like there's a deck I'm missing, but maybe not. Obviously there's some other decks here, but nothing too good. Yeah. Regidraco, anything cool going on here? No, I feel like TM Turbo Energize could be good. Obviously, it's not played here, though. I was interested in playing that at some point, and I might, but it's not the best. But yeah, overall, that's the meta. I think it's really interesting. It's a bit chaotic right now. I think the best decks haven't risen to the top yet. And obviously, I think Lost Zone has room to grow. I think a lot of decks have room to grow. I think control, obviously, that doesn't even like surfaced at all. We have seen Snorlax stall, but that's it. So obviously control is traditionally very hard to play, and it wants to wait a little till the meta sets. So yeah, and I also need to make a control deck. The new Tatsugiri is super cool, and obviously counter catcher is like super broken. But overall, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing. When I hit 1,000 subs, I'm gonna do something special. I think I haven't exactly decided yet. I might do some giveaway, just a small giveaway. You need to be subbed for that though. And then I'm going to be doing obviously some more Paradox Rift content as well. But I hope you enjoyed. As always, I'm excited to see you next time. See ya.